What is up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I'm your host, Edward Anderson. Hopefully, you all having a good afternoon. You know how that goes. You know how that goes. I'm sitting here trying to get shit on point. So I'm going to talk to y'all while I'm kind of, getting shit straightened up here. To get y'all coming in here. I wanted to have a conversation about perspective. Because that is severely lacking in these conversations. Severely lacking. When I say, understand that when there's certain things, when I say it, it may sound off, but there is a reason I'm saying it. There is a reason I am saying certain things. So when I like to try to bottom line stuff, because as you all definitely know, I can be long-winded. So I always like to let people know, although we can have, the conversation, at some point we always need to try to reset it by bottom lining what we're actually talking about. And what I find is a lot of people, they really don't want to solve the problem. They want to just discuss the problem to death. And I know some people could say, well, you've been like online for X amount of years. So how are you saying that of all people? I've already made it clear. The reason why I'm still online is because what I do is awareness based. We don't have enough awareness in order to create the critical mass. And I'm not even saying it's got to be the majority. We don't even got a strong 10%. We got people that know what the issue is, but we don't got people that are compelled to do something about that said issue. And when I say do something, I don't necessarily mean march, but I mean be aware of what these laws are. Be definitely ruthless on I'm not even saying, because here's my thing. Arguing with women is not necessarily going to solve this problem. The key is not arguing with the women. The key is taking control of the environment and changing the environment that creates a reward punishment mechanism. The problem is most men fundamentally don't do that because they believe in that at the collective level, because men believe that's misogyny. That is not misogyny, that's fucking protection. But they've been convinced that misogyny is anything a bitch says it is. That's really where we are right now. And we have economic incentives to basically keep that shit going. That's the real problem. And this is why a lot of it, the issue is these fucking corporations. And yeah, Trump is not wrong. If the reason why he's doing a lot of this tariffs is because consumption is just that much of a problem, he is not wrong. But that's a conversation that America has been too infantilized to have. Is cheap goods good for America in the long term? Nobody wants to answer that question because you weren't allowed to even speak that into existence. Because that's too close to questions that's gonna get out of this hyper consumer mindset that doesn't really benefit Americans. And this is not even like a black or white thing. It really doesn't. But it does benefit the rich because it's getting people to buy certain shit, and there's only certain classes that can take full on advantage of that. That's not what this is going to be about, this conversation. But what this conversation is going to be about is A lot of people, notice how online people never want to explain what do you mean behind the things that you're saying. Like, explain to me where you're coming from with that perspective. Why do you have that perspective? They never want to do that. They always want to put you on trial. They always want to make you wrong, but they don't never want to explain where the fuck they coming from with it, because most of these motherfuckers don't even have a perspective to explain. They really don't. They're not on here to actually say, okay, this is a path forward. They really want to do what the fuck they want to do. Most of them don't even know what the fuck they want. So what they do is they're going and then they're feeling their way through it. Men and women. They're feeling their way through it. I don't feel, and that's the key thing. If you feeling your way through it, you don't really belong in this fucking conversation. Because feelings are not going to solve it. Like, you ask somebody, do you think you about to feel your way to a solution? Do you think the solution you going to feel, feelings is what's going to get you that solution that you're looking for? Do you believe, like, think about anything that anybody has. Anything. Working out, whatever. Feelings doesn't get you from point A to point B. If you have a goal, feelings is not what gets you there. Is it? Yet, you got men, not just women. We know what the women are on, but you got men out here, basically their compass, they're operating with the emotional feels 5,000 compass. They because they were told that the logic 1,000, and quite frankly common sense 2,000 compass was basically toxic. It's like using aerosol. Oh no, you can't do that. It destroys the environment. You can't use that one. That one hurts the little baby penguins. That's what you were convinced of. So you put that shit down and you picked up these Feels 1000. Yeah, what's up? Mr. Snazzy Forever Blessed. Ray D. Scott. And I'm gonna be working on those videos today and get them out. Everybody that super chatted me on certain topics to talk about, I'll be looking at the videos that are necessary and getting that stuff put out there. So that's doing today. Today is kind of like a get stuff done, catch up day. Feels 1000. That's what the fuck y'all picked up. Y'all picked up the Feels 1000 and y'all been running. And some of y'all were born in that. I want you to understand, if you're in college, remember, most people in college graduates are between the ages on the young end 22, but really 23 and 25 years old. I want you to understand that. Unless you're in medical school, if you had like a regular stint in college, graduate students are like 24, 25. That means they were born in 2000. That means they don't even remember 9/11. Just to give you fucking perspective. Your undergrad, mostly like 90%, 95% of your undergrad were born after 9/11. And at the expense of being considered a old nigga, you're dealing with, a lot of them don't. I'm not saying to dismiss their perspective, but they really don't know shit. They only know what they were told. And a lot of them are finding out real quick what they were told was bullshit. They were told if they go to school, and I said this on art, and I don't want to be I'm more of a college bound person, but I was always smart. Like, here's the thing, I was always smart enough that if I went to school, I was gonna go to community school first, and that's some of the college that I have is community school. Number one, because we got one of the best community schools in the nation at Wake Tech. Shout out to Wake Tech. But number two is because, as far as I'm concerned, one of the things that people fail completely at, and is this idea that your goal should be to get out of school with as little debt as possible. That should be a fucking low-key flex. The fact that you have so many people that really are on some just get the education, and we just get enough people in school, in school, then everything would take care of itself. That shit was incredibly naive. I will go as far as to say, I understand the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I understand the intentions are good, but a lot of y'all fucked up a lot of people doing that. This kind of dogma of going to school, getting a good job, getting a good education, you can never go wrong with that. And there's something wrong with people to go to school to get training to get out here in this real economy, because they can always go to school. Motherfuckers can always go to school. You got a whole bunch of motherfuckers. Let me be very clear here. And this is going to sound harsh, but fuck you. Because I don't believe in that term. That harsh shit is hoe shit. That's whole lot. That's matriarchal mentality. It's the mentality of the weak. Because ultimately, when people talk about what's harsh, at the end of the day, those people are not going to have to be the ones to really deal with this shit for real. That's just real fucking talk. Is this. If you come out of college, and I'm not even talking about coming out of college. If you're out of college and you're working at a fucking Starbucks, we're not even talking about your Ubering. Because real talk, you can make about $6,000 a month Ubering. So if you're working at a Starbucks, we know you're not taking care of yourself. If you're working at a Starbucks and you're fucking, or whatever job, dead-end job you got, and you got a degree and you got debt over you, so you got debt over you. But somehow you're working a dead-end job, usually leaning on your parents or whatever. You're a fucking failure right now. And that's seriously. And that may not all be your fault because you were told what you were told. But that debt is a fucking house that's not going nowhere. They got y'all believing, see, that deferred shit got y'all believing that shit ain't real until they decide to call that shit on your ass. So they got you believing it ain't as serious as it is because they told you can just defer that shit to death. That in and of itself was a fucking scam. Because the debt isn't going anywhere. The debt stays on your fucking credit. Ask me how I know. It took my mother until my mother had got her debt cleared, like actually cleared from student loans, because not Biden's thing, but because she didn't use what she went to school with. She did that maybe 6-7 years before she passed. At the end of the day, a lot of this shit is a scam. This is why I laugh when people talk about network marketing is a scam, and people are just now starting to find out college is a scam. But you're not allowed to say that because people got this apple of their eye, because you looking at school, y'all looking at school from like the 1980s or 70s or 90s, what school was. Y'all watch that show, A Different World, and y'all think, oh, well, if you got a degree, there's like a floor you can't go under. That shit was always bullshit, and that was always bullshit for black people. This is why people just parrot these fucking statistics as it, like, just like when black women talk about, let me tell you something. The most stupid, moronic shit that I hear black women say, this like people actually think they're smart, they say, is black women are the most educated. That is some of the most dumbest shit That is some of the most dumbest shit that I hear black women parrot, and they parrot that shit on the news. What in the observable world gives you the actual indication that black women are the most educated? I mean, they just say it. They say black women is more educated more than they say God is good. It's just some shit they just fucking parrot. Like, where the fuck do y'all get that from? And that comes from one fucking survey in like what, 2012? They basically said black women were the most in school. It never said they were even the most graduated. Like, seriously, so you're telling me black women are more educated than Asian women? Like, when you actually, you're saying black women are more educated than Asian women. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what you mean. When you say black, you're saying black women are more educated than Asian men in the United States, Indian men. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then when you say black, are you actually talking about FBA? Or are you talking about someone else? Well, we can't ask these questions because they're too busy stroking their fucking ego. People don't understand. Most scams tell you what you want to hear. That's how they get you in. And so when you look at this stuff and you have these conversations, we have these circular fucking conversations because, quite frankly, a lot of the people having these conversations shouldn't even be fucking talking. They really should. They don't know shit. They come in here and they think your opinion, you're uninformed, because that's what a lot of it is. A fucking, and fuck your credentials. Fuck y'all that y'all want to talk about some credentials, because a lot of y'all haven't even been able to use your fucking credentials in order to actually affect the observable world around you. So you can miss me with your fucking credentials. Some of y'all ain't doing shit that's got anything to do with y'all fucking credentials, but y'all want to talk about credentials like that means something. Some of y'all are broke as fuck and don't know what to do, but y'all want to be right. So y'all come with these fucking credentials and shit. And some of y'all is absolutely valid, but a lot of y'all kind of need to shut the fuck up. Because y'all have it like technically Umar is cast credentials, but look at Umar's situation. Just to give you an example. And also, and a lot of y'all don't even got the best intentions. A lot of y'all just want to lie. Y'all want to come online to be right for your ego and shit. So you ain't really coming, just like Hammer. Hammer always leaves this $5 bullshit ass comment talking about, I thought y'all would be for MAGA or stupid shit like that. I'm like, Nick, dude, you're like 22, man. That shit's not cute anymore. That shit is fucking sad as fuck. You really out here, like it ain't even about you ain't dealt with no woman necessarily. It's really about you're sitting here talking to dudes way older than you, because the reality is Hammer doesn't see this as actually real. Hammer's thing is he's gonna get a robot, but then the very women that's got him having to deal with. It's funny to Hammer don't even understand that if you a nigga talking, look, let me tell you something. If you are a person saying that the solution is to get a robot, then that is someone that, if a woman, like, that is someone that hates women. If you ask, how do you think a man that wants to replace a woman, what do you think of a man, just without any other information, that says the solution is for men to get robots, girlfriends? What do you think about that? What do you think these chicks are going to say? They're going to see you as everything. They're going to assume that you are the worst of the worst, red pill. They're going to assume you're a pedophile because you have control issues. Everything and anything that they can say about you. Remember I said in my last live stream, I said they put you in this myth of everything evil in this stew, and they get the red pill guy. That's what they're going to think you are. Because that, in their mind, is the only person that would have that. When I talk about AI, I'm talking about niggas getting a nut off. He's talking about a permanent relationship alternative. That is what he's talking about. He is literally talking about having it's equivalent of saying, I'm going to have a relationship with the porn star that I see on TV. Not, this shit is to be sexually satiated for the time being, but it's not meant to be a permanent solution. He's literally talking about some Blade Runner 2044 shit. And he actually, in his mind, he actually has the nerve to talk to shit with some dudes that have kids that they have raised, primarily sons, or dudes that like BGS that have grandkids that they are beyond active in their lives, and kids that either have been offered marriage and they said no, or they are married. I want you to and this is somebody you would never see Hammer being this. Hammer comes here because Hammer could never speak that way to people in his own ethnic group. Hammer doesn't even want to tell you what ethnic group he's from, which I've never understood that. I've never understood how people can talk shit about somebody else, but you think that's too intimate to tell me what ethnic group you're out of. Which, quiet as it's kept, I'm not talking to you. If I ask you a question like that, I don't consider that an evasive question. I don't. And so if you can't tell me that, then you're not speaking in good faith. Because you're trying to deny me like a vector to kind of see where you're coming from. Meaning you're not really trying to have an open dialogue. Because these would be the same people that will try to ask somebody, do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a kid? They'll ask all of that to try to say some shit and draw conclusions. But I can't even get what ethnic group you in. That's too, because African American, and by the way, that's a tell. Because when you don't want to say that, African Americans don't have a problem saying they're from whatever. They may not want to say the city, but they'll say the state. And they'll say they're African American. And if they believe they're Indian, they'll say that too. That's a tell when y'all don't want to do that. And if y'all don't want to do that, I don't know why you're even here having a conversation. Y'all, like, just like how it's almost like African Americans wanting to have a conversation about the inner politics of Nigeria, whatever the fuck country, and we are not out of the tribes or something. It's crazy. But that's how people have been conditioned to treat us. And dudes need to put a full stop to that shit. Like, it's called reconditioning, and you have to recondition people how to deal with you. I dealt with a situation where I was doing a favor for somebody and I had to wholesale cut them off because they were really trying to play me. Like, they were really trying to tell me certain stuff to keep me invested. So they think they were getting stuff for free. I talked about this a couple days ago. I had to just wholesale block them and cut that off. And I had to take the L on like $100. It didn't take up a lot of my time, but $100 on something, even though it was something I was supposed to continue doing, because they thought they were playing. In their mind, they didn't think I would just do that. They didn't think I would just take the micro L, and they thought I was going to keep on doing this when they talk about they was going to give me money. And they think they were smart. This is somebody older than me. They think they was slick. And I was like, yo, I even told them, I'm clocking certain things that you're doing. I told them, I gave them a warning. I said, look, just because I don't say nothing don't mean I'm not clocking it. And you got to do that. And sometimes you got to do that out of nowhere. People be... Exactly. Yeah, Landon. Yeah, it ain't just from the South though. It's a lot of it, but it ain't just from the South. It ain't just from the South. And but my point is they'll say that. So when people get in here on some, I don't want to tell you what ethnic group I'm out of. What, are you embarrassed? No, that's private. Okay, then you're not African American then. Because if you were, you wouldn't care. You're not so meaning your perspective is really on some I want to control where this goes versus a genuine you're invested. You're not really on the team. You're like a fucking corporate spy. Because if we do that in your country, y'all gonna be mad as fuck. To the point where some of y'all will justify violence. This is why a lot of that shit is so funny. Now, people, we can argue about how people go about doing it. But anyway, but that's not even the thing that kind of inspired this video. Was I was watching an older video about the Dumper TV like channel, which is a good channel. And it was Billie Eilish that came up. So you got these, these the white boys' choice. So you got what, Sabrina Carpenter, Jenna Ortega's been out there, Billie Eilish is I'm gonna say Irish, even though it's Irish, fuck that. I'm gonna say Irish because I'm not about to try to butcher her name. I'm gonna say it the way I say it. And if it's wrong, fuck it. She's wild as fuck. Irish, right? And she's another one of these the white boys' choice. And all these mofos, white girls like too. But white girls tend to like Billie Eilish more than any of them. They like Sabrina Carpenter as well. But these are kind of like, think of Billie Eilish as like the new Adele. Maybe not fat, but the new Adele. Sabrina Carpenter is kind of like, I don't want to say she's really not Taylor Swift because she's more raunchy than that. But whatever. These are the new chicks coming up. She's 23. Sabrina Carpenter's 20. Whatever, right? Jenna Ortega's like 25, 24 now. Anyway, these are the guys, these are the chicks that if they saw with a black dude, the white boys will lose their mind. Like they will get violent. These are the don't even play with them with that, right? The black thing, don't even do that because they'll lose it. This is them, right? These are some of these chicks. These are not the only ones, but these are some of the main ones that are kind of emerging. And white girls like Billie Eilish more than any of them. They like Sabrina Carpenter. They like Billie Eilish more than any of them, right? So these are the white people's choice, right? And Dumper did a video on her, and she said some shit. Maybe she was 21, 22. She said some shit where, I don't know why men that are ugly have like this confidence. Which, this is some young and dumb shit. But it's like, yo, first of all, what you don't find attractive does not necessarily mean the next chick won't find attractive. Like, what was that dude, that guy by the name of Henry Goggins, by the way? The dude that he's always in the country shit. He was in Justified. He's in a lot of different shit. I think he's even in Invincible as well. I think he voice acts Cecil Stedman. They were just talking about him. He's kind of got that, older kind of the women, the media is trying to promote him as this older but grown and sexy kind of dude because of his personality. He's got that Matthew McConaughey personality in his own way without the looks that necessarily go with it. And so they're pushing him because, whatever, right? And so the thing about it is, this is why, if you notice, my currency system fits more things than most of these people's explanations on shit. And game ain't even something I do. And so Dumper, explained it too. And he was talking, and so for these young chicks, looks is all they care about. And that's fine. But the problem is, looks don't pay the bills, looks don't create security, looks can be an indicator of a lot of sexual experience, but looks don't necessarily. This is why Ron Will said Mr. Goodbar is not necessarily the pretty boy. So sexual currency is not necessarily the same. It's not. And we all know this. Black men know this, which is why a lot of black men like to deal with this masculinity because they think that's an in route. This is why they like to shame light-skinned dudes, which perception is they lean on their quote-unquote prettiness in their mind, and they like to deal with the gully, thoroughbred. We know the game of sexual politics behind that. But she said this, and I was like, yo, first of all, looks like she's not an ugly female. But she is not a female. You're not a female that's going to be the top 10, 15 best looking chicks in school. You're not going to be 20, 30. You're not even going to be like really top. If your personality was garbage, she's got this emo. You are not this universal. Like she's like I'm being nice saying she's a 6. I'm being nice saying she's a 6. because she doesn't have any like obvious flaws. But real, you really a upgradable 5. Like really, you kind of average in the face, but it's all this stuff around you because you being a song singer, songwriter, it kind of upgrades you in the kind of upgradable 6 category. And her body is all right. It's something a white dude would deal with, but she's got a little bit of stuff in the front and the back, a little bit. But face wise, if we're just judging you off your face, nah, you ain't one to really talk a lot of shit around you that kind of upgrades you, and your face doesn't pull you down. But if y'all go look up who I'm talking about, yeah, Shabba Ranks, if y'all go look up what I'm talking about, like this chick, she's not ugly, but really what it is, it's the music. She's got this emo look. So if you're like that emo thing, this kind of, I've got resting like bitch face. Like it's not really bad, but it's kind of resting. She's got that kind of thing going on. And it's like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's, and keep in mind, she's 22. So you already know when she, like, you don't know. But my point is, this is my overall point in saying all this. I thought about it and I said, yo, you're 20. I made sure I looked up her age. You're 23. And that emo look is cool. Jenna Ortega kind of has that too. But Jenna Ortega is getting more attractive the older she gets. But Jenna Ortega kind of has that as well. But Jenna Ortega, she's got a prettier face. So, a prettier face. That resting kind of bitch face kind of thing going on too. But it's not as bad where she can't control it versus Jenna. That's how she looks. I'm looking at these people and I'm like, yo, 9/11 had already happened. You weren't born when 9/11 happened. It's 2025 and you're 23. 9/11 was already a year in, happened a year ago by the time you were born. And by the way, this is not to dismiss younger people's perspectives on things. Not at all. What this is, though, to talk about is what we're talking about, like a lot of these perspectives and some of these folks that are like in their 20s be having, like with women, your mother didn't even experience real misogyny. Like Billie Eilish is 23. That means her mom was probably born in the 70s. Remember, I'm 38. If I had a kid when I was 20, they could be 18 right now. Billie Eilish was born, like her mom had to be born in the late 60s, early 70s, which means her mom would have came up in the late 80s, early 90s. Because remember, Billie was born in 2002 or 3. I want you to understand that. Your mom didn't even experience real misogyny by the time she was an adult. By the time she was an adult in the 90s, the legal framework that women call patriarchy and misogyny was already gone. Your mom came up in an era, because her mom would be Gen X, came up in an era where women were getting a whole bunch of shit. The pill was already well established, or abortion was already well established, and women were getting a whole bunch of shit. The schools were altering. She experienced the plus of that. Your mom didn't come. Your mom was not an adult in the 60s. Your mom was not an adult in the 50s. She didn't experience Mad Men. She didn't experience the Mad Men shit. She didn't experience that. Not like that. Just so we can be real clear on what we're really talking about. So for these chicks that are like in college age, that's why I mentioned Billie Eilish. It's in college age. Their college age, because Billie would be like what, graduate school age? You know, it's 20. These 22, 23-year-old, these 22, 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds is being told, you know, life isn't fair and it's all men's fault. No, it's not men's fault. You're in a fucked up economy. That's not patriarchy, because men are having a problem. I said on my stream that a lot of college students or a lot of males. And when I wasn't talking about white boys, I was talking about like Indians. They are really worried about their prospects, and they go to really good schools out here: Duke, UNC, Chapel Hill, and NC State. Graduate students, where these places are known for their graduate programs. They're in tech, so you know if tech is having a problem. Remember what Sauchi was saying? It's over. He keeps saying that. And tech, and Sauchi was really saying if you were in tech, you were good. So it's actually worse than what he was even talking about, right? And so my thing is, dudes are having a problem finding a job. It's not like dudes are getting the first dibs at these fucking jobs, and then women are just left to go to the fucking home. If anything, they be trying to hire women before they be trying to hire dudes. If we gonna keep it all the way real, about what's going on, women got better employment prospects than men do. But see, nobody's really supposed to talk about that shit. That shit's not supposed to be really talked about. And so you got people talking about misogyny that ain't really experienced misogyny. That's my main point of this whole video. You got women bitching about misogyny, and misogyny is a fucking concept. Misogyny is not real to them because they've never really experienced it. In fact, they've experienced all of the benefits of this fucking push against it. We're talking about white females that are literally trying to act like they're oppressed. That's what we're talking about. I want you to really understand that. You're talking about white females that let them tell it. They live the existence of a black, the man versus bear. They're talking about a fucking state of mind. I remember when I used to Uber and how people used to always ask me about it. And they used to always, men would say they didn't want to drive at night because it was annoying. Women would talk about they were in genuine fear. And it's kind of like, we're in North Carolina. I didn't want to be dismissive of that shit. But at the same time, we're in fucking North Carolina. What are you so fucking afraid of? Like, you really acting like at any time y'all act like y'all have experienced something to justify this fear. This is fear. This is not, okay, y'all went through something, so y'all got to be on guard. This is like conceptual fear. Like, y'all are just fear at a concept. And because that's real, we're literally making laws on shit that has not even happened like that for real. That's what you got. We're sitting here walking on eggshells for shit that hasn't fucking happened. And this is not for me to say to everything people. So for women, if it happens to one motherfucker, it happens to every motherfucker. That's not how that works. It's not. This is why women, so because it could happen, it did happen. And that's what we're dealing with when you're dealing with a lot of these chicks to be pushing this shit to be in their, even if they're in their late 20s. They're basically taking the feelings that come from bad relationships or relationships that went bad, not quote unquote abuse, but went bad. And basically, if men are not in this box that has absolute control over it, that's misogyny. And this is why when we have these conversations, if you actually start deep diving even a little bit into like what people are talking about, it never makes real sense, or they always try to avoid doing that. They never want to have those types of conversations because they don't really want to reveal what they're really on, where they're really coming from, because they know that shit would sound crazy as fuck. We were talking either on ABs, and it was a dude that came up, and this dude was talking about you could get a house and X amount of people or black men are in the middle class. Basically, he was doing the black men just need to step the fuck up and do better, and then the community would be better bullshit. That shit is a feeling. That is not real. This is why when you ask these people to flesh out that perspective, they never can. Because that's just some shit they feel in their heart. That's not no real practical, do this, Dr. Clark Anderson, 5 floors. I was talking to Christian behind the scenes, and Christian actually gave me an actual detailed mapping out of what this actually looks like. Kudos to him. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but he definitely gave a perspective, and he knows how to use this perspective to gauge the seriousness of how much somebody else knows what they're talking about. Even from an economic standpoint, it was a very easy to follow, practical, do this kind of neighborhood by neighborhood thing. But most people cannot do that. They cannot say what men need to do. They just say men need to step up and do better. That doesn't mean anything. That's like saying children need to behave, but we kind of generally knows what that means. But what specifically are you talking about? And as somebody that I used to do troubleshooting, troubleshooting different situations, where you have to identify the problem, and that shit is a way for people to get around identifying the problem. It allows them to just live in this kind of quasi situation where they're not really saying shit, but they think they're saying shit. They can pretend they're saying shit while not saying nothing at all. And again, we know the women do that, but the men are supposed to be held to a higher standard than that. And the men will come in here wanting to argue with us because they don't got no idea, so they just use us as like a punching bag to argue against what we talking about, saying we're wrong. It's just like how the media basically covers the manosphere. The media will just say the manosphere is bad, but the media never really explains what is bad about the manosphere. The media just says the manosphere is bad. That's all it says. The manosphere, that's basically what it says. The manosphere is bad. And then, and basically, it's bad because of Andrew Tate and Myron. Those are the only people that the media, they don't even bring up Tristan Tate. There's Andrew Tate and Myron. The media is bad. Look at this. The media is bad. The media is bad. That's pretty much what it. I'm not the media, but the manosphere is bad. That's what it does. And nobody even asked that question. Nobody even asked the question, why is it that the media has this like controlled view? Like it can't really, like if these people are so bad, y'all have had racists on here. But y'all don't want to have nobody in the manosphere on there, even though y'all done had racists. Y'all are clearly showing white people. So what? Why is it? Because they understand that if people start saying shit like man's rights and stuff, they can't argue that. So they just say the manosphere is bad. Go with it. That CNN bullshit where they want to say the manosphere is the alt right. The alt right is the manosphere. They want a Democrat, Republican and shit. Even, shout out to Red Supreme, but even when Red Supreme was talking about, when Red Supreme made a comment that he said the manosphere has produced a lot of coons and Sambos. That's actually not accurate. Those dudes, like Fantastic, existed. If you want to call him that, I'm not saying he's necessarily that. Fantastic existed before the Manosphere. It's just the Manosphere gave him a vector to kind of flesh out certain ideas that he wanted to have. Those guys already existed. Just because you didn't see them, I mean, Clarence Thomas is not a product of the Manosphere. Clarence Thomas is not a product of the Manosphere, nor is fucking Charles Barkley, nor is Jeffrey Whitlock. So people try to act like, the media, the right wings and media was supporting these people. So to sit here and just, and he was just saying, a lot of this shit. Hold on. A lot of this shit, because it's kind of like, like I said, I could go in and be like, but the thing about it is, we're talking about, yeah, you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but the reality of the situation is, I see people that deal with the Democratic Party is just as dangerous as people that want to coon and Sambo. Coon and Sambo goes both ways. It really does. And I would argue folks that basically are shills for the Democrats are way more dangerous than the Republicans because black people have a more predisposition to believe black people that look like the Democratic Party. I don't see a difference between this Jasmine Crockett and like somebody's on the right. They're both bad for different reasons. And a lot of black people need to start really figuring that shit out. And obviously Red Supreme is not like a Democratic talking person. I'm not saying that. But he was talking about all these content creators like Donovan Sharp and Fantastic, whoever, because of their perspectives. And yes, I don't agree with their perspectives. And I've said that. But to sit here and say the whole manosphere is just that's bullshit. And look, I understand that people be trying to edge out a different type of audience. A different type of audience. I understand that, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But this thing, it's always popular. I'm not saying somebody got to claim nothing. But understand that if it wasn't as popular to bash the manosphere as it is, because all these bitches, basically all the motherfuckers that don't have solutions, and when I say motherfuckers, I'm talking about the sheep. These people, they know something's wrong, but they don't really know what the fuck is wrong. And they see the manosphere, and because they emotionally, it goes against everything they've been told. They just naturally don't like it. Because understand, we live in a feminist, this is one thing Dumper was actually right about. We live in a feminist society. We live in a matriarchy. So misogyny is bad, misandry is good. So of course they're not gonna like what the fuck we say. Of course they're not gonna like what the fuck we say. Because what we say in their mind is anti-feminist. What we say, and they see it as a zero-sum game. And so because the money flows a certain type of way, and because the money is not in, I'm not saying breastfeeding trying to get women, but I'm just saying because the money flows a certain type of way, there is no real economics in it. I mean, that's the thing we should talk about. This men don't support men, and that's an issue. Men don't. But let's not act like that's not what it is. Yeah, men don't support other men. This is why but that's really what it is. Make no mistake, this is an economic situation. With this is not, because the economic energy flows a certain type of way, then you have what you have. One of the reasons why the space is not bigger. But they not gonna spell that out for you because that's not really their job to. And truth be told, technically, Red did spell it out. Red, people ain't supporting. So you get more women involved, but you bound. It's not an easy path, but that's why people, that's why it's popular to say the manosphere is dead. Because saying the manosphere is dead is not necessarily bashing the manosphere. It's like a way around. That's all that is. That's all that is. That's why you have somehow we got all like this influences out here to the like how you got the news media never talked about the space, yet the space is dead. That makes no sense. Now the thing about it is, even with the Sambo shit, at the end of the day, man, just like how feminism has produced what feminism has produced, the Sambo shit existed before. All these, and even still, like my thing is with those guys, it's very obvious what they're doing as well. It's very obvious what they're doing. Like when you look at Donovan Sharp and all of them, they're like some of them really believe that shit. And even Anthony Brian Logan said that at the end of the day, he thinks that was an overreaction, but Austin should have put his hands on Carmelo. And he took Daniel Penny's side. So at the end of the day, these guys make money doing this. And this is not a justification, but it is, but just like how dudes make money telling women what they want to hear, it's really that simple. And so a lot of this stuff talks about Samboism is not the problem. The black community, the African American community, the black community, FBA community is not in the state that it's in because of fucking coons. That is not why we're in the state that we're in. We're in the state that we're in because the collective of black people, because we're in a fucking matriarchy and gynocracy. And that is the cultural setup that black men as well as women, we know why they accept it because they benefit from it. But even the men, even the fucking men benefit from that shit. And it's not just simps. Simping is also dudes that they want to hoard quote unquote sexual resources in their mind. They want to keep their dick wet. They want to keep their dick wet, or they want to sexually politic. This is why you got niggas promoting game. Game don't build. Game is not a long-term thing. I don't want to hear game is everything. Black men don't apply game like it's everything. Because black men would be in a better position if they did. Black men don't talk about game like it's everything. 90% of game is talked about how to get a bitch to sleep with you. I don't want to fucking hear that other shit, because most of y'all don't live that way. You're lying. And if you do live that way, you know, if you do, then you know most black men don't. And you see it in how a lot of black men hate on other black men. I remember when niggas used to try to clown me with Ubering. I could make like $6,000 a month doing that. But niggas want to clown me. Most of you niggas are not making $6,000 a month. So rather than getting game, folks want to sit there and try to act like I'm some broke nigga. For real though. You can see it in how people hate. Kevin Samuels. Niggas look to how to hate on even Jason Black. Because Jason Black was actually breaking down at first how he had it set up. Then jealousy kicked in. And he ran with that. That told me everything I needed to know about Jason Black. With all this shit, you still subject to the same rules of bullshit. Rather than learning game, and that's one thing a lot of these immigrants do be doing. They do be picking up on game and running with it. This is why every time you look up, you got a fucking non-FBA person at the top of something that is harnessing us as an audience. Even DJ Vlad, people forget, DJ Vlad originally started interviewing porn stars. But niggas don't think of where you start, they think of where they want to be, because that's where the bitches are on. Which is why the bitches are where they are. Brandon Tatum is a true believer. That's the difference with him. Brandon Tatum says what he believes. And as far as the right, I don't look at this shit as right and left. Right is not bad. Black people are more conservative by nature. And a lot of this liberal shit is just adopting white shit because in your mind, that's the team you're playing for. Liberal is not good and right is bad. The problem with the quote-unquote right is we filter that through the eyes of quote-unquote white supremacy. So right and white supremacy go hand in hand in our mind. So I'm just going to say it. Anybody that looks at things from a right or left perspective, honestly, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. And that's what BGS be trying to tell y'all. That's the wrong perspective to really have. A lot of y'all look at that because that's what the media has conditioned you to see the world through it. Y'all should have woke up from that dumb shit once you saw Dick Cheney support Joe Biden. That should have woke y'all up from that shit, especially for y'all that's like anywhere near my age. So when y'all whenever I hear, this is why even when I was on Bernard Riley, when I hear Nate and all of them, they like to say, well, the problem is the left. No, dude. Miss me with that good white people, bad white people bullshit. Miss me with that shit. It shows me you fundamentally don't really it shows me you buy into the Kool-Aid of the bullshit. You playing the same game. Right, left. That tells me, honestly, when people say that shit, that tells me your level of political sophistication. I.e., you don't really know what you're talking about for real. Y'all want to play the good white folks versus bad white folks game. I don't play that game. Because what y'all start doing when you do that is you start showing your belly. Like when you hear, now I've never had a problem with a white person. Well, you're dumbass. First of all, what that shit tells me is you ain't never did nothing a white person don't like. That's what that tells me. That's what that tells me. What that tells me, that's not by accident. That tells me you not treating them the same as you treat everybody else. Because if you did, then eventually I never had a problem with a black person. That sounds crazy if you say that. as a black person. I ain't never had no issues. If you say you ain't never had issues with no black woman, that sounds crazy. You ain't never had conflict at all with black women. You ain't never had an issue. You ain't never had an issue with a black person. That sounds fucking crazy. That sound so when you tell me you ain't had problems with a white person, and then it'd be like, well, I was an artist. Okay, so white people were incentive to fuck with you. White people were incentive to be nice to you for a couple of hours because you could fuck up their business. It wasn't you, it was the company that you represented that's behind that. But you sitting there internalizing that, or you in the military and you really acting like you ain't never met a racist in the military, or it just didn't happen. So y'all are in these like fantasy worlds. And that's fine. Be in that fantasy until that bubble gets popped, because eventually it will. Especially now where white people are really agitated because of economic conditions. So it's a game you're playing when you say that. That tells me you ain't never competed for a white person. You ain't never directly competed for white people for something. When people tell me you ain't never been in conflict with white people, that tells me y'all be knowing y'all place and y'all be placating them. Y'all ain't never competed with them for power, even individually. Because trust me, that shit will come out. When it's something you want and they want, whether it's a job or whatever, that shit will come out. So that tells me a lot, even in and of itself, and they don't even be understanding that. That's why it's like when you put all this energy trying to talk about white people ain't that bad, it's like, yo, why are you so invested in motherfuckers believing that? Because this well, if black people just pretend racism don't exist, everything would be better. That's like me saying, but I might as well say, if you just pretend like the gynocracy don't exist and feminism don't exist, everything would be better with your individual outcomes. That's literally the same shit. We can't do that because their left is on fire. You know, like whatever. Like it's like talking to a two-dimensional character and you understand shit in 3 and 4 dimensions. At this point, it's like y'all just need to fuck around and find out. And you got people with these attitudes that they just need to get out. Exactly, Ezreal. I don't agree with a lot of what Ezreal says, but yeah. Most people didn't even pick up on that shit. Like, that told me I was not gonna vote for Biden anyway, because I didn't vote for Biden at all. But yo, that's it. Yep, I knew it. And nobody talked about that. Notice how the whole party tried to act like that wasn't a big deal. And everybody is starting to tell it after the fact. That's why, you know, a lot of these people don't run their mouth like they used to. A lot of y'all that y'all trusted lied to your ass and made y'all look stupid. I'm talking about the people over there that was talking shit about BGS and me. A lot of people, I'm going to assume that y'all trusted some people and they made your ass look stupid. I'm going to assume that y'all just not that uninformed. They made y'all asses look dumb and y'all need to cuss them out for like a year. But yeah, first of all, when his daughter endorsed Kamala, I knew that was crazy. So but when Dick came out and did it, that told me they desperately want something to happen. That was a sign, y'all need to vote for this bitch and not put Trump in here. And y'all need to suck it up. Trump's tariffs is not going to make China bow. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. First of all, the Chinese can deal with a hell of a lot more inconvenience than Americans can deal with because of how we're conditioned now. Exactly. So, I mean, you know, people want to play right-left games. That was a right-left game, and you ain't hear nobody say shit. Because at the end of the day, a lot of motherfuckers are vote blue no matter who, or vote right. Aight? Y'all playing teams like Duke and UNC. That's fucking stupid. Policy, BGS is right. Policy is what black people should care about. Like black men. Oh man, you gonna pay child support, even if the chick's pregnant. Good. I'm not against that. But I want to make sure whose kid is it? We getting a paternity test. That's happening. I would happily trade that for a paternity test. We need to have a Me Too wave where men are paternity testing these women. We need a Me Too wave. We need a reset. Oh man, that's gonna tear down society. Okay, then it's just gonna have to burn in. Because that means we're operating on some bullshit. I don't want to hear that. Figure it out. I don't want to hear. These bitches are gonna turn their coochie off. Okay, then we'll import other bitches. I'm not gonna be moved by that shit. I'm not. These chicks turn their coochie off, they can feel the full weight of what it is to be a man for real. You got chicks that live in a whole third world. You got chicks, shout out to Marty, make sure you check out his Patreon. You got chicks that they gotta live, they gotta work literally 7 days a week. You got chicks that got degrees but still gotta sell pussy in Brazil and shit like that. You got bitches in the third world that's dealing with real shit. Or if a man drops them off with a kid, they are absolutely fucked and they still pussy still work. So if these lazy ass bitches want to turn their pussy off, let them. Let them. Now, you got motherfuckers dealing with real shit. You got bitches that are fucking dealing with like mutilation, VM, and like for real. Like bitches dealing with real shit. They talk about, I'm gonna turn, do it. Do it. Cause if you do it, it ain't no like, y'all officially men now. Y'all can deal with the full weight. You're gonna have to start burning some shit out. People are gonna have to fall through the cracks. People are perfectly okay with men falling through the cracks. They're not okay with women falling through the cracks. It's funny. Like, it's funny. It's like, yeah, import the women. Be like, y'all do what y'all want to do. I'm surprised they didn't bring more Ukrainian women over here, to be honest with you. Ain't nobody playing with people. People think people playing. Ain't nobody playing with folks. So no, that shit don't move me in the slightest. That's why when people talk, like, I get it when BGS be like, oh, well, you know, shit gotta be done in a proper way. No, fuck that, because they fucked it up in the first place. These are the same people that would tell you everything Trump is doing is wrecking the economy. Same people. You got women today that are acting like they're fighting a fight that they never experienced. That you got women today that are 25, 26, ain't never experienced. They think misogyny is anything a man does that they don't like. That's misogyny. That's literally what they think misogyny is. You got women fucking shit. This is why they allow for sexual feminism to take off. Because in their mind, they thought that if they just let that pussy fly out, that people would just accept it. They never, because they see men as static. They never have this for every action is an equal or opposite reaction. They never think about that. They never think about that. They always think about, oh, well, men are just going to stay the same and we'll just crash out harder and harder and harder and see if the coast is clear. No. And that woman, when we just did that video with that older feminist versus the younger chick that want to act like she's not a feminist, even with what she said, bitch, you 0 for 2. So clearly there's something wrong with you too. The dude you're getting with guys, and I already know what it probably is. It probably is you like how these dudes look and you're ignoring these dudes' red flags. And then when that shit just flies out, oh man, he's pouring in alcohol. Which I'm sorry. Porn, if y'all like really, man, you're really on, like, how do we know you just not fucking them? How do we know you just not having sex with him and then porn is what he turns to? So basically, you're not doing your wifely duty because you're mad. You're trying to regulate with sex. And he said, fuck that. I got something for that. Shit. And now you're mad. Like, when women bring up porn, I be like, yo, that's, you know, porn and alcohol. So these guys just never, and even she had to call her out on that. Yeah, well, you know, I like your perspective because I love how she kept calling it like a perspective. Like, this is not what it is. This is not your future. This is just a perspective of ideas that we're having. Game that they like to play. This is the game that they like to play. He should have. And now they want to say, well, the problem is porn. Men are not obsessed with women because of porn. And if we get rid of the porn, good, get rid of the porn. Because if you get rid of porn, you gotta get rid of you. If you get rid of porn, see that good. Do it. Because if you do that, then you're gonna have to go after these bitches. You're gonna have to get rid of, and shout out to Christian, he mentioned you got to get rid of influencer culture. You're gonna have to get rid of influencer culture. You're gonna have to get rid of women showing bikinis and hoes. Yeah, let's go to Sharia law. Let's do that. You dummy. Let's do that. That's what we're going towards. You're gonna have to start compressing women to do that. Porn is not this magical thing that's just created. Women are doing that. So you're gonna have to shut that down. What's up, Great Dane? And the question is, are you really willing to do that? Are you willing to turn off OnlyFans? Just restricting it is not enough. Putting some IP address, that's not enough. People will still find it. Because, and then you're only restricting the hardcore shit. You still got Instagram, you still got OnlyFans. No, you're gonna have to outright ban it. Are you all really willing to go a prohibition on that shit? Because most of these bitches don't even know how to make money without fucking using sex in some kind of way. You will have to compress women. You will have to go to a pre-sexual revolution state. Most of y'all don't even know what that is and what that fucking looks like. Restricting porn is not enough. You will have to outright ban that shit. Meaning you will have to basically compress women when it comes to their sex openly. Save him. Seriously. You think you saw what the women were doing when they got rid of the likes on Instagram. You remember, people forget, what was it, 2023 when they almost got rid of OnlyFans? There's no way you're not doing something to the men. The men don't really care as much as you think they do. We're not even talking about the emergence of AI either. The women will lose their mind. Because for a lot of women, they can't make money without, like, it may not be outright hardcore sex, but they use sexual cues. So we know you capping when you say that's what the fuck you go. We know that's cap. We know that's cap. Oh yeah, we're gonna get rid of the porn. Go ahead, get rid of the porn. Get rid of the porn. Let's go after Twitch, Instagram. You're gonna have to get rid of all of it. Go ahead, get rid of influence. Go ahead, do it. Because the women are gonna be the main problem. You're gonna find that anything, there's no way for you to correct this without correcting the women. I know you're looking. I know you're. I know. Because you don't want to do shit. Fear that they're going to turn their coochie off and not have babies. That's why they saying a lot of nothing. They're saying a lot of nothing. There's no path to solving this problem outside of correcting the women. It doesn't involve that. Yeah. And that's not a quick solution anyway. That's not a, well, it's done. We can move on. So that's not a quick solution like that. It really isn't. There is no one size fits all solutions. Well, I'm not even talking about black men. I'm talking about the powers that be, the power to actually have the law. Because this speaker looks like that type of speaker that he would do some shit like that. But the men are not who you got to worry about. It's the women. Because most men are not going to pop off. You got to think, first of all, if you do start heavily restricting porn, men are not going to jump out and start doing that because that's them identifying themselves and then they're going to get shamed. But the women will because their money's tied to it. Men's money is not tied to porn. women's money is. That's what a lot of people don't understand. And all that influencer culture and all this other shit that they're doing, you're going to have to restrict that. So you're going to be seen as the bad guy by the women. This is why typically it was women that usually got in the front of this. Because it's harder to make women bad guys. But yeah, you got women, you got a whole generation of women that have not experienced misogyny, but they talking about it like they've experienced the shit. Misogyny is not anything a man does that you don't like. You didn't a bad relationship. Stop acting like, well, this man just transformed into this thing that I don't know what he is. After we got to get the fuck out of here with that. The same fucking story every bitch has, that a dude just magically went from prince to a beast. That's a lie. Yet y'all keep dealing with the same dudes. Anyway. Yeah, it ain't even with the simps. It ain't just simps. You know, I just say what people don't want to say. Because at the end of the day, it's sexual supply and demand. That's how I see it. Sexual politics. And a lot of dudes don't like to think like that. Because a lot of dudes like to be on this, yeah, man, all these niggas. Like, we know dudes are not, a lot. And it's white dudes at that. That are not, yeah, man, dudes are not with women, but these women are having all these sexual experiences, sessions, whatever you want to call it, you know. So we know that energy's got to go somewhere, and nobody's really talking about it. They're just kind of talking around it. Nobody's really like having a real conversation about what's really going on, because a lot of dudes want to front. People want to front. You got these women that are basically slurring themselves out, fucking women and fucking men and other women, and you're creating this disconnect because these women don't know how to bond. They can't bond because they've already broken that rubber band, basically. And then you got dudes that they're looking at this, and this does not make dollars. It does not make sense. And an increasingly fucked up economy. That's the other thing. You got dudes with money they don't have that somehow supposed to give women the world. And I'm talking about white women too. I'm not even just talking about black women. And white women are basically having sex with the dudes that they like for free, and then they're coming back and thinking they're going to tax dudes. And remember, white women hit the wall a lot. That's why they're hitting the wall so fast. These bitches are hitting the wall like quick. They're getting to like 26, 27 looking crazy. They're looking crazy at 26 and 27. Yeah, they're looking crazy. They're looking crazy at 26, 27. With the wall, because what it is they're having all these sexual. They're basically, they never cut down unless they come from a certain class. They never cut down the hoeing. They take the college experience that they lose their minds on, and then they carry that shit into this Sex in the City thing. And by the time they come out of this haze, they think somebody else is bitch. You played yourself, and they looking for a man to blame, and there ain't none. And they can't really blame a corporation, because that's really what they want. They can't blame the corporation, because a corporation, a brand, is nameless and faceless. So the only thing they can blame, man. And so man is the problem, man is the problem. But see, that don't solve shit. Because y'all are doing this, that's their way of getting men to try to come and deal with them. And here's the thing, men are not right now. And that's the only play they got. They don't know what else to do. Men are nowhere to be found.